Alright, so welcome back. In this part, we are going to define the context API and the reducer so that they hand in hand can provide us the data and we can dispatch some actions like checking, new game, and win and lose and other states. Okay, let's go and start. So when I go here I will add a context folder, and in the context folder I will have a context.js which will hold the context. Here I would say that the app context is the create context, which is part of the React. This will create a context for us, and then we can export it as the default. We need to also export one more thing, and that is the use app context, which will use this context. And this will just return the use context, giving the app context to it. Okay, so these two things are the things that we will be using in our app. The app context is being used for the provider, and this use app context will be the consumer part, where we are going to consume the data. Okay, so this is the context. Next part, we are going to add the reducer, which will be used together with the context. Here I will add a reducer like so. This reducer in the beginning has nothing. It would just take state and an action, just like the definition of the reducer. Then we would have a switch based on the action.type, and then we would return whatever we want. Right now we don't have any actions, so we would say for default just return the state. We are just going to define it here, and of course I can export it here as well, so it's in one go. Right, so this is our reducer. We will get more familiar with it within the next lessons. And now I'm going to mix these two together so that they can provide the data to our app. Right, so I would go to the app.js here. First I will grab two things from the reducer. So one is the app state, which is the state of our app, and the other one is the dispatch, which is the dispatch function that we will use to change something in the reducer. We will use the reducer. We are going to give it the reducer function and some initial value. For now, let's say test is true. And the reducer is of course coming from here, so I need to import it. From here. Right. Now I have these two. I'm going to use them in the context provider so I can use them later on. So instead of just returning the div, I will wrap everything inside a app context dot provider, and the value that we provide to it should be just one value. So we are sending the app state and the dispatch to it, and we would add everything to the inside the context provider, like so. And if I go and look at my app in the components, I should see a context provider here. And when I'm looking at it, I will have a value which is a twofold. One is the dispatch function, and the other one is the initial value that we passed along. Okay, cool. So our context is also working perfect now. In the next video, we will define some initial game state for our app. Okay, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.